This is the Aftermarket Radio Network. Hey, have I said thank you enough lately? You know, we've just hit our 1,000th show in Remarkable Results Radio. It's kind of a surreal moment for me, and we've, of course, plus 400 on the Town Hall Academy and all the other shows in the Aftermarket Radio Network. We're over 2,000 incredible features and content and podcasts and videos to advance the aftermarket. And I guess of late, as I've been recording these with great friends in the industry, I just can't help but think about it was my listener who really made this happen. And we work so hard to keep good content happening for you. Remarkable Results Radio, Carm Capriato, the pioneer of the auto service aftermarket podcasts. Dave Schedin, how are you, man?
Awesome. It's great to be here, and as you talked about, your journey and your 1,000th episode of this and over 2,000, Carm, I just want to acknowledge you for what you've done for our industry. You have a 500-year legacy. What you're doing for our industry, people that listen, that grow, whether it's a tech, an advisor, a manager, another coach, another trainer, people are gaining so much insight in how to be a better version of themselves and the calling in their life. That affects all their employees. It affects their friends, their family, the customers. And because we brought solutions at a high level from the content that's in here, the customers have a better taken care of car. That has a ripple effect in their family. I mean, it's generational what your impact that you have in our industry.
Oh, thanks, Dave. Look, you have contributed at least minimum 16 episodes over the years with us. One of them that I thought was so great was understanding intangible holes in your business. If how-tos were enough, we'd all be rich and skinny. Flat rate versus salary debate. Incentive pay ideas, and on and on and on and on. In the show notes of this episode, there'll be a line. This is Dave's other episodes. Please go and uptake some of Coach Dave Schedin's from CompuTrack Automotive Solutions, the CEO. Good guy. Thanks for all your support.
Yeah, great to be here.
Hey, take your auto care center to the next level, the gold level, with the NAPA Auto Care Gold Certified Program. This program is for the best of the best who can provide a consistent consumer experience and earn the trust of returning and new customers. Talk to your NAPA sales representative about how you can become a gold certified shop. What are we going to talk about today? I think this is very near and dear to your heart, isn't it?
It is. And one of the things that I was challenged on in my own shop was systemizing the business. I'm very systems oriented. I'm very driven with strategy, tactics, and angles. Improve, enhance, make better. And when I got to looking at this, the number one inventory item that a shop sells is labor. And how do you systemize it? There's so many sides to labor. I have a tendency to overthink at times and over-systemize and make things complicated, but I wanted to reduce it to the ridiculous. And so as I looked at labor, I found out that there's 3 core labors. There's preventative maintenance, diagnostic, and then repair. And as I started to do deeper research from different articles and different aspects, I've been through the General Motors University of Automotive Management. They had some loose benchmarks around those. And after studying, looking at my dealership world environment I was in my own shop for 9 years, and then having coached in the last 18 years, as I look at top shops, people who are on their A game, really doing this. And what I discovered is that preventative maintenance, diag, and repair all have a volume in your shop. And as I looked at those, I said, that's not really a sales goal. That's a vehicle requirement. And that led me to, okay, how is PM services a vehicle requirement? And so I did this, and when I coach on site, and in fact, I just did a module. I was speaking at Northwest Auto Care Alliance in Spokane 2 nights ago. And we went over getting to 4 hours repair order in 4.5 days. And one of the things we looked at is that hours per repair order is not a sales goal, it's a vehicle requirement. And I'll do the math here. Normally I have an Excel spreadsheet, visualization, but I'm going to say it this way. If we see a car with 50,000 miles, as it's fairly new, that's usually what independent shops see. 10% of their cars usually have 50,000 miles or less. And if we truly do all the preventative maintenance, get it to, 250,000 miles, which most shops agree, doesn't matter what year, make, and model of car. If you do proper maintenance, timely repairs, it'll go 250,000 miles and still be going strong. So we're going to see that car for 200,000 miles. They're going to bring it and trust that shop, which means if I do a 5,000 mile oil change interval, if I take 5,000 divided into 200,000, I'm going to see that car 40 times. If I believe that a transmission service should be done every 30,000 miles, I'm going to see it 7 times in that 200-mile window. So that's one side of the coin called predictive preventative maintenance. One side of the coin is for that vehicle, 40 visits, I'm going to do 7 transmission fluid exchanges, right? Because it's just simple math. My belief system, for me, transmissions 30,000 miles. And I don't want to get in that debate of 50,000, 60,000, 100,000 mile lifetime fluids. That's another whole topic. But personally believe in 30,000. So that means in that 200,000 span, I'm going to do 7 transmission fluid changes for that 40 oil changes. So just go to the other side of the coin now. If I do 40 oil changes in my shop in a month, how many transmission fluid exchanges should I do? I should be doing 7. If I do 80 oil changes, not standalones, I mean, all my oil changes together, I should be doing 14. There's a math ratio based on belief system. I go through this whole process and we look at vital fluids, vital filters, all the cavities, front and rear diffs, and only 50% of the vehicles have those. We take ratios in that. All said and done, in preventative maintenance alone, and this isn't tires, this isn't replacing brake pads, this isn't batteries, check engine lights, window regulators, ABS, it's none of that. It's all preventative maintenance stuff. A car will give you 3.5 to 4 hours per repair in just preventative maintenance alone. So coming back, and I looked at preventative maintenance labor, if I really dialed it down, 50% of my labor in my shop should be preventative maintenance. 25 should be diagnostic and 25% should be repair. So then it hit me. Oh my gosh, all the 3 labors, most of my repairs, 83% of my repairs, and as I go into shops now and I do an analysis, a level 1 shop analysis, I'm discovering this usually anywhere from 75 to 85% of their labor is diag and repair. I asked this question, diag, repair, or preventative maintenance, which one has the least amount of fires to prevent in your shop? That goes down to another rabbit trail is, do you want a business that's fireproof or do you want to put out fires every day? Build your business on diag and repair and do the volume and treat preventative maintenance like discretionary spending. You just created a business model inherently that has more fires than if you create a business model that's built on preventative maintenance.
Makes all kinds of sense to me because you're in a prevention mode.
Exactly. Because are there fires with diagnostics? Yeah, 60% of the flowcharts have ever been validated. And get this, the cars are from concept to the new first one coming off the line. It's as low as 18 to 20 months now on some vehicles. On average, you're probably 30 to 36 months. They don't have time to validate all the flowcharts. Here's the other thing. They don't have time to validate the labor time guides. I'm just saying.
Oh, that's been what an interesting can of worms that is. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. It's like, well, we use the same power plant in this vehicle and that R&R water pump is this much. So it should be the same over here. But wait a second, we put 5 different brackets on it and turn the engine sideways.
Yeah. The labor guide should be the same. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So they haven't validated flow charts. They haven't validated labor time guides. And here's the other thing they have not validated the preventative maintenance plan from the manufacturer. When I hear shops say, well, the factory's not calling it, I go, let's talk about the factory. Who in the factory is calling it? The bean counters who want to make their cars look less expensive to own. You talk to the actual engineers off record because they have to comply with legal because they have a contract they signed. But when I've talked to engineers back when my General Motors, days, multiple engineers, I said, man, why do you call the fluid at 60,000? He goes, well, we didn't call it. He does this. We didn't call it at 60,000. We called it at 30. And if you do stop and go traffic, not even towing or hauling, you do stop and go traffic, you're 15,000 miles. That's what we called it. So the bean counter said, throw synthetic at it, make it last longer, get it out of warranty. And that's what we'll call. So during the warranty period, we have a vehicle that looks like it's less expensive to own.
It seems to me that many shop owners, service advisors in the industry, they're doing the commonsensical, smart approach to maintenance for their clients. They're not telling them to extend that far. But if someone's following that, shame on you.
It really is. And the ones that follow it the most are the vehicles that are the worst if you follow the manufacturers. Good luck getting that vehicle 150,000 miles. And to me, that's European vehicles. You got BMWs with 15,000 mile oil changes. You got a computer-controlled analytical analysis of that oil, how much time is on it. I mean, those are some great things. It's better insight we've ever had. But most of it don't account for, are you in the Northwest and are you in a rainforest area, high humidity in Seattle area? Where, remember that song out of the 60s, The Bluest Skies You Ever Seen Are in Seattle? All 3 days. So there's so much moisture that gets in there.
No. Yeah, all 3 days. Yeah, exactly right. I got to tell you something. There was a time that I spent time in Seattle, David. I had to go there for business. We had some operations up there. And I have to tell you, my greatest memories of Seattle was I must have picked the best days of the entire year to be there because I could see Rainier perfectly in the distance for, I would say, 60% of my trip was some of the most beautiful, sunny, clear days ever. And then I hear people like you saying, huh?
I use that as humor. From about end of May to probably beginning of October, middle of October, it's just one of the most beautiful places on the planet. For the very thing, crisp, and you can see far. The mountains are gorgeous. It's just great. It's more of a laugh getter than anything else. But during the winter, it's true, all 3 days.
Yeah, you get teased about your gloomy, rainy, humid, and I'm from Buffalo, so enough said.
Yeah, I think somebody in Seattle created a phone app for sunshine for the winter. So coming back to the labor, so PM, diag, and repair. Of those, now I have a volume in my shop. Okay, so there's some systemizing I can do with that. Well, if that's really not a sales goal, but a vehicle requirement, now I can market more appropriately. I can tool better appropriately. I can train my people, and I can shift here. The heart of service gets to come out at a higher level on preventative maintenance service than it does on diag and repair. Diag and repair, you're doing triage on the patient. In preventative maintenance, like doing physical therapy. You're getting that puppy in shape. You're keeping it strong. You're making it stronger. Now, each one of those labors actually has an efficiency. So preventative maintenance as a standalone non-oil change typically is run at 150% efficiency. Okay, Dave, that's a great number, but how do you systemize your business to that? Very simple. If you're doing the A-level tech, A-level speed, A-level equipment, and A-level training, and so it's not their first one they're doing. They're experienced in doing a transmission fluid exchange, a power steering fluid exchange. Notice I'm not using the word flush. Throw that puppy away because some shops are drain and refill, call it a flush. And if any technician listen to this, any shop is doing a drain and refill, go get your science book out and do the chemical analysis on the fluid after you did a drain and refill and didn't get all the fluid out of it. You just tainted that new fluid you put in there expecting 3 year, 30,000 miles out of it. Good luck getting that because that new fluid's going to go try clean the easiest thing to clean, and that's all dirty fluid. It's going to use up its own life on fluid you didn't get out of there.
Let me stop you for a moment. My daughter's CVT transmission in her Rogue, we went up to Brian Pollock's place. It took 2 flushes, if you will, or 2 exchanges. It took 14 quarts of synthetic to do it right.
Transmission fluid exchanges are, they're anywhere from $600 to $800 or more. Some of the European cars might even hit $1,000 or more because you got to do it 3 or 4 times because the engineers and all their service of the customer, they didn't leave in the fact that, okay, if you want to get this car to 250,000 miles, first of all, I think it should be federally mandated. Before you say the car, that maintenance plan works, you got to prove with scientific data in all areas and all markets that it will get there and still be going strong. Anyway, I'll get off that soapbox. So efficiency. So basically, if I have a power steering service, let's say it actually physically takes the technician 0.4 to do. If I charge out 0.4, I'm at 100% efficiency. My system has fixed 100% efficiency. On a heyday, he might do it in 0.3, make a little bit. But if I know preventative maintenance is at 150% of that 0.4, what do I need more of? 50% more. So now I need to make my canned job at 0.6, or in my world, I made it 0.8 with the BG system because it's really quick and easy and it does great. So now my canned jobs, my 7 vital fluids, 8 if you call it washer fluid, but the 7 vital fluids that are in the vehicle, I can go to my system and I can adjust in there. It takes a master level tech with speed and equipment this long to do it. Well, I'm going to add 50% more, maybe another tenth or two. And now my system has built in 150% efficiency.
You're building it in and you're charging for that.
Exactly, because I created with the advisors in the value, words, and reasonings. I can't tell you how many times I go to a shop, and I'm going to bring up power steering because it's the one I see the most prevalent of not being sold. I get advisors say, my customers, nobody buys power steering, so people just don't see the value of it. And I go, really? Because I got shops, they're working on getting their second machine. They're selling so many of them. Maybe the problem is how you're presenting it and that. And so I experienced him presenting it, and I said, you know what? Technically, you said everything right, but you didn't sell the value of it. Well, I told him the why, but you didn't sell the value of it. Well, what's the value of it? I thought that was, it's going to short-live the pump and short-live the rack and that. And I said, okay, so you're about 3/4 of the way of a value expression. And he goes, what's that mean? Okay. I said, well, how much does a pump cost? He goes, oh, $800-900. How much does a rack cost? $1,200-1,500. How much are both together with hoses and a complete fluid exchange? You're probably $2,500 to $3,000. That is full value. Mr. Jones says extends the life of your $800 to $900 pump, your $1,200 to $1,500 rack, or God forbid, all of it together. You might be $2,500 to $3,000 together with that. The customer doesn't understand you'll extend the life of the blank, but they understand you'll extend the life of not having to spend $800, $900, $1,500, $2,500. We don't put the dollar on there, you're not going to explain the full value of it.
Is it possible, Dave, that we can relate that value statement to something that's happened in their life, in their home? Washer, dryer, refrigerator, stove, those kinds of things that maybe bring it down to more reality for them?
Yeah, and so I'll give you an example of, I went into a computer place, my older laptop was having some issues. And I said, it's doing this kind of intermittent. When it does it, what do you think what's it going to be? Well, when you take a look at it, initial diagnostics is going to be this. And I said, okay, but usually what you see on the average repairs for these, well, I can't give you that until I know what it is. I said, okay, so the problem I'm giving you, I already know enough. It's either the motherboard or the hard drive. So what's the worst case scenario? He goes, well, in that case, you might as well just buy a new laptop. And I go, okay, but I want you to test it first. I'm trying to upsell myself through this guy, and he won't do it. It was hilarious. I can't tell you how many times I do that. But anyway, to relate it to a real life scenario, if you take a component into a place, a washer, a dryer, a microwave or something, and you want to try and get it fixed. And these guys, they're trained professionals. They've been doing it their whole life. And they say, yeah, you know what? Well, let us test it. We can't tell you till we get there. I know that when I walk out of there, I don't want to be hit with an unknown. Give me a dollar amount. And I did have a refrigerator guy, because I bought a refrigerator 4 years ago, and they said, you want to keep up on the filter in there, because if the filter does plug, number one, it smells really bad in the refrigerator. But number two, it's the airflow. There's a fan behind it. And if it plugs up, it's hard on the fan. And I know that from cabin filters, and so it's like, and I said, man, I'm glad you said that. But he said this, and that fan motor to replace it is about $500. And at that point, a $20 filter every, 3 to 6 months, I'm doing the $20 filter for it.
The NAPA Now event is a national ownership workshop for our valued AutoCare members centered around business building training from industry leaders. Now, it's not just about owning a shop, it's about owning your future. Join NAPA April 15th through the 17th, 2025 at the Venetian Resort in the heart of Las Vegas, known for its vibrancy, energy, and entrepreneurial spirit. At the event, ignite growth through business building masterclasses from leaders across multiple industries focused on expanding business opportunities. Now, masterclass topics include future-proofing your business, mastering emerging technologies for growth, leadership dynamics, inspiring, engaging, and driving success, shifting tides, understanding evolving consumer behaviors and your bottom line, and young leaders' lasting legacies, mastering succession planning for future growth. Foster collaboration with other like-minded NAPA AutoCare members and store owners. Stop at Supplier Studios for training, visit AutoCare vendor partners, and finally, join us in celebrating 100 years of NAPA Auto Parts, along with kicking off the next 100 years of partnership. There will also be exclusive giveaways. There are many incentive opportunities to offset the cost of this trip, including AutoCare program earnbacks, and beginning in October, earn up to $1,500 with pre-show supplier training to prepare for the Supplier Studio training sessions. The NAPA Now event is a national ownership workshop for our valued AutoCare members centered around business building training from industry leaders. Now, it's not just about owning a shop, it's about owning your future. Join NAPA April 15th through the 17th, 2025 at the Venetian Resort in the heart of Las Vegas, known for its vibrancy, energy, and entrepreneurial spirit. Get ready to grow, connect, and celebrate. This is an exclusive event limited to the first 2,000 AutoCare members. Packages are going fast. If you're interested in attending, contact your servicing NAPA store or NAPA salesperson. When you buy a car, nothing's supposed to go wrong. And when it does, all people are trying to do is upsell me because they need to earn a living and pay their people. It's such an ugly rat race out there in trying to get really good work done for our people because there's this issue of trust BS that lives out there. And in the top shops, there's no problem. Clients are loyal. We turn them from customers into clients into advocates. I get all of that. And it's a lot easier, I believe, to explain the value set to a long-term customer that continues to see this vehicle has been reliable, it's been safe, and based on what Dave keeps telling me, wow, I got 150,000 miles, I could still go another 100 if we just keep doing the right thing. But this thing wasn't designed to work forever. The thing I think that people that are vehicle owners don't quite understand is that as a vehicle marches, flies down the road, there are so many moving parts that are never, ever supposed to wear out.
You know, it's funny because that concept is done.
Your shoes wear out.
Yeah, by the sales department. And so here's a real case scenario. When I worked at a Chevrolet dealership in North Seattle, and I won't mention Chuck Olson's name, but Chuck Olson Chevrolet, there's a salesman that told the customer these cars are maintenance free. It had a maintenance free battery. That was the only maintenance free thing on the car. These cars are like maintenance free. You don't have to do hardly anything to it. So I get this Cavalier, and it's got a 60,000 mile powertrain warranty. I get this Cavalier in at 46,000 miles with an oil leak. And I'm a drivability guy, but the drivability guys are the heavy line guys were backed up. And so in drivability, we had 6 drivability guys in 1980, 87, 88, and 89, because GM needed 6 drivability techs in each dealership to keep them running. So anyway, so I get this supposedly heavy line work, and I work on all systems on a car. It didn't matter to me. I love drivability. So I get this car in it, and I'm noticing, the valve cover's leaking. So it's under warranty. It's under warranty repair order. So I go to the parts counter, and I get the valve cover gasket for it, and which was in a tube of sealer. And so anyway, so I come back, and I pull the valve cover off. The valve spring's about that tall. The oil sludge is up to here. And I went, no way. I look at the backside of the motor. It's got the original factory black filter on it at 47,000 miles. Go to the customer, and the customer says, we see, it's got the original filter. We don't see, it looks like you haven't changed the oil in it. Well, I don't have to change the oil in it. And we said, well, why is that? Because the salesman told me I had a maintenance-free car. And then she never changed the oil. It was just amazing. So a lot of what you just described, the persona is the cars are trouble-free, worry-free, maintenance-free. It's a marketing plan. It has nothing to do with real-world environment.
It was one of the most clever things to ever come out with a maintenance-free battery. And that was the days that you didn't have to worry about putting water in. Tracy just had a battery issue. She got it tested, and we were really so late for an appointment. And we says, well, can I come back in a few days? And it only took one day for it to die. And all the signals were there. And we've done on previous shows, David, just how many calls AAA has had on the side of the road from battery issues. I think the number was 4 million, not that they replaced 4 million batteries, but those were issues going on. So why, as such a incredibly important industry that we're taking care of people's cars, even if we're doing all the stuff, we're putting it in the DVI, we've got all the documentation, the equipment's working perfect. We know that these batteries on their last leg Or 3 year, 4 year, 5 years in, we're not pushing a little harder. Why? Because the rep of us upselling all the time is out there. And it's terrible until that individual. But again, let's go back to if we've done it and it fails, it's not our fault, is at least in the mind of the customer. Yeah, Dave did tell me that this may happen. And I will listen to him in the next time. Nothing is maintenance free.
So you just opened up about 10 rabbit trails I could go down. So I'm going to pull it back, though, Kirk.
Pick one.
So we started talking about the Diag, human repair, and that. So we got preventative maintenance at 150% efficiency. Diag is really a professional level, creating the best service for the customer should be presented in a range format. It should be done with a diagnostic labor rate. That comes from an analysis of your shop to know what is your diagnostic, what should it be in your shop? Actually, what should your labor rate? I have a labor rate tool that puts the tech burden load, the burden load around labor, including $25,000 a year of potential shop warranty. You force it into your labor rate. And if you're at 3 hours repair order, 1,800 ROs, you're going to add maybe $4 to your labor rate. And now year in and year out, as long as you sweep that money aside, you're covered for 25 grand of warranty each year. You don't have to worry about it and stress about it unless you don't sweep it over to the side. But you have it built in. It pays for your uniforms. It pays for $20,000 worth of training for the techs. Fly a trainer into your shop. You don't want to fly the whole team out to an event. Fly a trainer into your shop. There's many trainers now that do. Carlos Sabuco, he flies a guy in, 2 days in the shop, Friday and Saturday. And then the advisors, I'm in the other room doing a webinar with them. We're doing all day advisor training. It makes sense, guys, to fly trainers into your shop.
Oh, by the way, I don't want to stop you. Carlos Sabuco just did a For the Record episode on flat rate.
I saw the title. I haven't watched it yet.
Well, you got to. It has had an awful lot of legs as far as listens and views. And he nailed it because he's not for it.
So I'm going to give another takeaway to the audience here. So at Diagnostics at 2 for 1, most shops actually believe it, sort of. If they present, and they should never use hour, but they do, well, we're going to take initial hour to look at it. It's going to be, $175. And if they're in at 0.5, they charge the customer the full hour. Issue is that if the tech took an hour, they're locked in. They can't do it. That's why you present a diagnostic range for a stage 1, which opens the door for stage 2. There's a whole bunch of training. I do a 8-hour class on presenting diagnostics with high value. The last labor is repair. And repair labor should be done at 135% efficiency as an overall operations. If you're going to do front-end suspension and brakes and struts and shocks like that, you better be running 200 to 300% efficiency. Your master level front-end suspension, steering, brake guys, they'll run at 250, 300% efficiency, even with normal brake labor time guide. However, the labor time guide hasn't been validated. And I remember when the ball joints used to be pressed in and out really quick, and then GM riveted the puppies in and didn't change the labor time guide. Oh man, there were some really upset techs when that happened. But that happens, they don't know. Anyway, it takes a while for them to figure that out. But most point of sales, I don't care if you're Mitchell, Protractor, Shopware, Techmetric, all of them have what's called the labor time guide bump, which means if the book says, 5.8, you put a 30% bump or 40% bump, it's going to land at 6.5, 6.8. It's going to give you a real world labor time bump. And yes, you pass that on to the tech. They're the ones working in a harder environment. So one of the softwares that out there, believe Protractor is the only one that I know of that does it, is that you can age the bump percentage is based on the age of the vehicle. 0 to 10 years, you do a 30% bump. 11 to 15, you do 40, and above, you do 50 or whatever more. You're working on cars that are 15 to 20 years old that parts are hard to get hold of, let alone we're still coming out of the COVID parts delays. You better be putting a 40, sometimes 50% parts delay because you got a half an hour, put it back together, back it off the rack because the part's not here for 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And then 3 weeks later, you got to put it all back in, get all your tools back out, get in the same frame of mind. You got another half hour. You got an hour there. You better be calculating for that speed of the tech. Don't point your finger at the tech for low efficiency. It's not the tech's fault. It's not the customer's fault. It's not the advisor's fault. It's not anybody's fault. It's just the marketplace. It is what it is for working on older vehicles where parts are obsolete now. And right now the dealers are like 7 years, they're making obsolete parts now.
So if I am a shop owner and I'm listening to this and I'm really engaged and I'm hearing what you're saying and I got a good feel inside of me, I guess I could go back, pull all my data, figure out what my volume is on PM's diag and repair, 50, 25, 25, then look at the efficiency and see where that falls.
Yeah. And so you're getting into the realm of RO audits, not from a place of there's service advisor RO audits. And then there's labor time study. We have different labor time study Excel things. It works really nice in the old fashioned world where you have a time clock where you stamp something, and so like in my shop, we had these, we had peel and stick time cards. And by the way, we ran 168% efficiency in my shop with peel and stick time flags. So when people tell me that I can't, first of all, I can't get my techs to punch on and off a digital clock, I find that hard to believe. When I had my techs peeling and sticking and manual writing it's just leadership is all it is. But in that realm, so we peel them on the back of a hard copy. And so I would have a test study for power steering services. I said, guys, for the next 30 days, normally I'm not going to have you punch on and off of every line. I don't believe in that. But I do want to periodically take a look at what is their power steering time? What is that? And so they punch on and off it. And let's say my apprentice, William, did that. And you know what? He took 0.7. Robert did it, my master level tech, and he does it in 0.3. And we do a whole bunch of different vehicles. And then Robert does one, and all of a sudden it's 0.7. I know better. Okay, what vehicle was that? Oh, you know what? That's a level 2. Here's the takeaway for shop owners. On your vital fluids, you should have an L2, L3, and your team comes together. When the tech calls a power steering service or a harder service on like a European vehicle, hey, L2 in our shop means we have 0.3 or 0.5. L3 means we have 0.5 or 0.8 or an hour. And you guys understand that. So when the tech clicks needs power steering service, they click an L2. Now when it goes up to the advisor, oh, I need the L2 power steering service. Otherwise, here's what's happened. They check power steering service needs to be done. The advisor picks up the phone, does a great job. He actually sells it, brings it back out to the tech. And what does the tech say? This is a European vehicle. I need more time.
Okay. First of all, you're not talking about the ASE certifications, L1, L2. You're talking about level 1, level 2. That's your terminology inside. Okay.
Yeah. Thanks for that. I never connected those dots that might be construed that way.
Now all of a sudden we're talking about ASE. What's going on?
So the level 2, level 3 severity of difficulty of doing that service, we need to put that in our system to communicate. And when a tech told me, hey, this is a harder service, these sell for 0.3 more. And I go, well, you got to tell me that because I may not remember that. And that's part of why you systemize your business in such a way that the number 2 or 3 constraint in a shop is memory. It's not from a place of they're just idiots or forgetting. You got to think high level thinkers. Especially most of the guys in the industry have some form of ADD, which means you've got a supercomputer on half your brain and a regular computer in the other half, and you have these competing commitments of getting things done. And so you're going so fast. And as an advisor, you're working on processing 13 to 15 vehicles, closing 6 to 8 a day at 4 hours per repair order for an A-level advisor. You got a lot of things going in here. Are you going to forget stuff? Yeah, I'm a master level tech. I'm processing 5, 6 cars at one time. And I've got this one running on the decarbon service. I got to road test that one for the tranny fluid exchange. I got to diagnose this left-handed EGR widget thing that, the diagnostic flow charts. I got all this stuff going on. I need my system to help trigger me. That's why, I created my canned job package, which is 800 canned jobs that have built-in triggers for parts and delays. The number one part that people complain about the most in a shop that slows them down? Whoops, I forgot to order that part. They're halfway through. I forgot to order that part. I forgot to order that part. Have your system, whenever you're doing a wet valley intake, there should be a tried and true list of stuff on you need. If it's a Ford, you got this. A GM, you got this. If it's an Asian, you got this. Whatever that operation is, have your system do that. We could do a whole episode on just the value of canned jobs because they are your super highway of estimating to your customer, have taken 9 to 10, 12 line items and getting them so dialed in, you can do that estimate in 3 to 5 minutes and call your customer back. A lot of shops are taking 45 minutes to do that.
You're doing it. Canned jobs. Can't wait to have you back to talk about that.
Because it affects the three labors.
It absolutely does. I just love the fact when I've heard Matt Fonslow in the past and so many other top specialists that just so good at what they do. Journaling, using Google Docs to search for stuff. Think about the number of vehicles and models and engines and issues and problems and methods that we deal with on a daily basis. Vehicle came in, same problem. It was like a month ago, but it was a different, and wow, just go back and find your stuff and don't tax your brain. Obviously, that slows you down to a point. But if you've already been there and done that, why not record, even if it's a paragraph or a line or two, a couple of bullets, and be able to get a good system going where you put in, the year, the make, the model, and maybe the problem, so you can do some really great searching.
Along the lines, I'm encouraged, we have canned jobs, high value words and reasons. I never want the labor time guide, R&R water pump, $800. I want high value words and reasonings, but I don't have to type that story every single time. So I have my canned job, a generic canned job, value words and reasons are there, load that, go get the labor time guide, update that. And now I just save myself 3 to 5 minutes per repair order, and say 5 minutes on 5 repair orders. That's 25 minutes a day I save for a whole year. That's huge. And that's just one labor line. Now I got another 5 minutes on the next labor line. So what I encourage techs to do, I was in a shop coaching in Ballard. The tech, he was diagnosing his third, I was there for 2 weeks. He was diagnosing his third check engine light with a misfire, P0303, the cylinder 3 misfire code. Well, guess what? That cylinder is only going to misfire for one of really 4 reasons. It's going to be fuel, spark, mechanical, or vacuum. And so, you know what? Have a Word doc on your computer and just go grab the story for in a fuel related, injector related, a spark related, a mechanical related. Just grab the story and paste it in there, and you're not typing that same story over and over again. It's that phrase that Einstein posted on Facebook last week, so we know it's true. If you're going to do the same thing over and over again, expect different results, that's insanity. If you want better efficiency, do the work of efficiency. There's a phrase, it's a biblical phrase, faith without works is dead. Do you know that efficiency without works is dead? I'm going to go the other side of the coin. Efficiency with works is alive. Productivity with works is alive. Gross profit with works is alive. There's so much that we look at what we should stop doing that we never activate what we should be doing.
Your word is works?
Yeah, faith without works is dead. It's a biblical verse, which means you can tell me all you want. You believe in God and you believe in all this other stuff, but you sit on your butt and don't go do anything.
Works, you're trying to say do.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. I understand. And very powerful.
I'll kind of wind it down with this. So the 3 labor types come back to heart of service with a customer. Every hour we sell comes from the vehicle. We got to make it about the vehicle. And guess what? If you are pointing at your techs for inefficiencies and you have not given them a 3-hour per repair order or more, that's on the front counter more than it is out in the shop. That tech's got to be on and off the repair order, every repair order on average every 2 hours. There's no way he can be efficient or she can be efficient. You've got to sell, present more with that. And that's a whole nother conversation. The reason that your customers aren't buying, because you're telling them not to buy.
I just wrote down these words. Everybody knows me. I'm so engaged with the people who come on the show, and then all of a sudden, a lightning bolt hits me. It's been happening a lot lately. I wrote down zone of opportunity. Okay.
I love that.
Thank you. The zone of opportunity. And my thinking on that, Dave, was about if I know that this customer's vehicle is coming in, be it a longtime customer or someone brand new, and the age of their car is between 5 years old and let's just pick a number, 12 or 13, the zone of opportunity exists in your lap to make these numbers efficient. They're going to have needs. Things aren't maintenance free, as we spoke earlier. Things need to get done in order to keep this vehicle safe and reliable and moving forward and meeting the minimum requirements of how long they want to keep that car. Today, who wants a car payment or a lease payment? Even the lease payments are just off the charts. Wouldn't it be nice not to have that and just pay X a year? Okay, $3-4 grand a year divided by 12 is a whole lot less than you could buy some new vehicle and, a 40, 50, 60,000 zone of opportunity. If I was a sales advisor listening to this show and saying, wow, It's on me to figure out this zone of opportunity that I have.
So interesting. So I just had a session with an advisor this week, actually 2 sessions called, and if I titled it, I would say the opportunistic advisor. I said, okay, so when the phone rings, what's your opportunity? When you make the appointment, what's your opportunity? And when you're prepping the repair for that customer and you pull the customer up, what's your opportunity? Well, you got the history to go look at, prep that vehicle and the rest of that. Okay, but what's your other opportunity? And the advisor couldn't see it. And I go, no, there's another opportunity here. What is it? And he goes, I don't know. We're going to work on that Honda. Okay, great. What's the other opportunities that's in front of you when you pull a customer up? What's the other vehicles they have? If they don't have a vehicle, ask about the other vehicle. Here's the deal. I just moved recently to Spokane, Washington. And so I'm going around the shops to help build the Untitled Chapter, which I love the trade association, what they do for our industry. So I'm taking a flyer on, hey, I just moved into Spokane, so I'm going to be a local coach and trainer here. Part of this as an associate member, and we're having a dinner. I'm speaking on, and whatever. And I said, every one of them, I just moved to the area. And I pull up front purposely. I have a 2023 Ford Ranger. It's got 15,000 miles on it, my baby. So I pull up and not a single one, oh, you just moved here. Who's working on your car? Nobody asked me to work on the car. And I'm like, you get a vendor walks in the door, you have an opportunity to work on their car. And most of us, yes, I love that.
Let's do something with this word zone, the zone of opportunity. So here's the word. The word is zone, meaning you come in, you're brand new. I just moved in town. Well, you're in the brand new customer. You're in a zone, a completely different zone than a maintenance zone. And what we should do, or you should do, and then let me know, is come up with all these zones. Because when someone comes in, they need to be able to think, what zone is this person in? And I could almost see it on a timeline chart or a loyalty curve or something like that. And there could be multiple layers of these zones that can intersect and stuff. This is crazy stuff.
Absolutely. So in your brilliant thought, just triggered my brilliant thought, an A-level advisor is going to create opportunistic zones. Here's one, brand new customer. Hey, Mr. Jones, thanks for coming in. Thank you for giving us an opportunity potentially to be your repair center for life. What did I just opened up for this guy? A zone of opportunity, a lifetime opportunity. Advisors who sit back, take your pride and ego and leave it at the door that you know it all. You've been doing it this way for years. Throw it away. Come with the beginner's mindset, and just go, how can I create an opportunity? I'm not going to wait for the opportunity to come in. That's reactionary. Reactionary has a limited bank account. I'm going to be proactive. And so I'm going to create an opportunity called, thanks for giving us an opportunity to be your repair center for life. That should be in every advisor's greeting from here on out. If you're hearing this, an advisor or an owner or manager, that should be your DNA of how you do business with brand new customers. And I'm going to do two sides of a coin here. As a vehicle ages like 110,000 miles, Mr. Jones, your vehicle's, you've done a great job. You know what? Your vehicle's only really a third of the way through its reasonable life cycle. I've created an opportunity called life cycle of 2 more times that. The other side of that coin, though, is that, I don't know, Carmen, have you noticed, you're much like me. So, they call your brain gray matter, right? Looks like both of us are leaking. And so with that, as we get older, don't we need a little bit more pampering? The maintenance cycles for us is a little bit shorter. As a vehicle gets older, the 30,000 mile transmission fluid exchange probably ought to be brought down to 20 or 15 statically and go from there on. The differentials, as components wear, they're going to wear quicker. It's like a brake pad, it wears like this, and then it just dives off as it gets thinner. Well, the same thing in all the components. They have a curve. It's not a linear go, die. If you don't do PM services, you'll get a go, die. You won't get a go, die. As a vehicle gets older, your algorithm, your maintenance plan should be like, consider, high mileage type maintenance plan.
I get it. And if we create this zone of opportunity guide, this little mini book, this 8 or 9 pager, you can always flip to the 12-year-old car zone of opportunity. And then you're looking at less intervals in order to keep this thing alive, because there's going to be more wear and tear, more metals, more all of that stuff. Oh, wow. This kind of lands right into the fact that I come up with these 2 terms recently, ego death which we just released an episode on that. The burden of leadership came to me while I was at ASTA this particular past year, of knowing that leadership is such a critical part of really building a great company, knowing your leadership style, all that. And the burden of leadership is a heavy lift for so many people. And you see it out there all the time.
Yeah, and I'm still discovering what leadership is. I've heard the Maxwell definitions. I've heard thousands of these great leaders' definitions. And you know what? They're all right. They're all correct. It's not any one definition. It's a culmination.
Wow. Hey, this was great. Okay, we either have to keep this thing going, the labor rates, the labor types, preventative maintenance, diagnostics, repair, and their volume and efficiency inside the company. I think it's a great template. And you got to come back and we got to do canned jobs. Okay?
Yeah, definitely. And I want to do the zone thing. So, and when I do the zone thing, we got to have a requirement. People won't zone out, they'll zone in.
Oh, stop it. See, I knew you'd give me a pun by the time the episode was over with. Dave Schedin, CompuTruck Automotive Solutions. Thanks for being here, bud.
Thanks for having me, Carm.
Thanks for being on board to listen and learn from the premier automotive aftermarket podcast. Until next time.